Test, 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 test. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Just making sure that we're working. Mess. There we go. Not much going on. Thought I'd just jump on, see what people were doing this evening. I've been busy the last couple evenings, so I haven't been able to get on. So I thought, hey, what the heck, I'd jump on now. Everybody's probably driving home from work. But I'm trying to do a little bit of last minute printing. Actually, I'm curious if I can switch over, if you'll see it. Let me try it. Boom. Yep. So I got everything like in the way. Let's see if we can move stuff a little bit. There we go. Still a little in view. Oh well. No big deal. Figure what the heck, do a little testing, right? Anyhow. So doing we got 2 dance floor wraps this week, one Friday, one for Sunday, but we're going to be able to get in there and do the install on Saturday, which is good. So this is one of the center monogram graphics for one of those floors that I'm getting ready to print right now. Actually, let me go in there and check something real quick. All right. Looks like we are ready to print. So we will print. Processing, ripping. Gotta love it. You're not even seeing that, so let me swap. There we go. It's kind of dark in that room, so not the best view of the printer, but you should be able to see some of the stuff going on once it starts. Yeah, it looks like it's going now. Actually, I can drag this back over so I can see what's going on and still be looking at the camera. I'm waiting on this new mount to come in that I was talking about the other day. That'll allow me to actually mount the camera rather than being here down corner left of my screen. It'll actually be able to be mounted right in front of the screen, which will be great. Actually, it'll be mounted behind you and then allow it to pivot and be right here in the middle of the screen, making it really easy to just watch what's going on and be able to interact a little better. So that is the plan. We'll see how that goes. Got a little bit more embroidery to knock out too. Did a couple more blankets, a couple more caps. Have a few more of those to do, and then we've got some kind of expensive Nike sweatshirts, Nike hoodies basically. They were like 50 something bucks a piece. But anyhow, we're gonna embroider on the sleeve for a customer. I think we've only got like 6 of them to do, something like that. So that should go pretty quick. Only problem is they want it, right now the logo is really big. It's like almost 6 inches because it's the same one we've been doing on their blankets. Problem is they'd like to keep it that big on the sleeve, and there's technically enough room on the sleeve, but man, it's challenging to get in there and hoop it. So I'd rather use the Mighty Hoops, in which case I'm gonna have to shrink that down to probably like 4 3/4 inches, maybe 5 inches. We'll see. I'll try and do some testing with that later too. Yeah, so here's the, let me bring this back up. Well, there we go. I think you can kind of see it. Let me see. Yeah. So this is the equivalent of the dance floor. This particular floor is going to be, instead of being 16 wide and 18 deep, it's going to be 18 wide and 16 deep. And then the monogram here in the middle is basically 4 1/4 inches, or 4 1/4 feet by like 3.75 feet. So here's the actual graphic that's printing right now. So it's roughly, let's see, 52 inches by 45 inches. So that's the size it'll be on the floor. So yeah. I can hear my, yeah, that's funny. Nobody's jumping on. Guess 5:30 Central Standard Time is kind of an odd time to jump on. People are either working, finishing up work, driving. Makes sense. And it's what, like only 3:30 for Rye? You know, it's California people. He's probably picking up kids from school and all that fun stuff. I'm gonna double check that this works. All right. Yep. It's kind of cool. I've got a touch portal I'm using with OBS, so you can kind of see. Here you go. Whoop. That's a bad, hang on. Just lost it. Let me go back. There we go. Refreshing page. There we go. So let's see, mic. There we go, mic on, mic off. So for some reason, I don't have my icon showing up right now, but kind of get the general idea. I've got it set up where I can bounce between the scenes, mute my mic, stop streaming, etc. So I've got a couple different camera views set up. So it makes it real quick to switch. Like that, boom, switch, 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 and full screen. So anyhow, you get the general idea. Boonk. Hoping my autofocus wasn't messed up. Looks like the camera out on the printer might be a little out of focus, but that's just because, well, it's because it's dark out there. Yeah, something else I noticed too. Is the stream coming in at 7? What's up, the Print House? How you doing, man? How you doing? You driving, working? What are you doing? Just trying to see. For some reason, this looks like it's only at 720p. Which it should not be at 720p. Can you tell me if it's only at 720 or is it at 1080? I'm not sure why it would give me, why it would bounce me down to 720. It's going good, man. How about you? Let me check something here. Yeah, I mean, I'm showing. Ah, now I see it. There it is. So yes, it is only at 720. I'm gonna have to fix that. For some reason, I've got it configured to drop down, but I will fix that on the next one of these. That makes sense, because I couldn't figure out where in YouTube it was set up. But apparently I've got it set that way in OBS. And here you can kind of see. Let me swap over to the desktop view. Yeah, so you can see it's kind of grayed out, but the base is at 1920 1080, but then the output is scaled to 720. So I'll have to change that next time. Can't change it in the middle of streaming. So yeah, we'll do that next time. Still decent. Okay, well that's good. I don't know how I missed that, because I've had this configured this way for quite a while, and I just noticed when I was watching the live the other day back, like, you know, the recorded live, that it would only let me go to 720p. So I'm like, why? What's going on there? So it just made me decide I better look into that and figure out what's going on. So are you driving? You home? You working? What are you doing? We've had to reorganize some stuff. We've got a bunch more dance floors to do coming up, and they're always a challenge because they're usually Friday, Saturday, Sundays. So luckily, the last minute one that they booked us for Sunday, they don't have an event on Saturday night, so we can go in on Saturday and actually get that one done. So that's good. And then I've got one on the Monday after too, which is bizarre. Big event, bigger floor too. But works for me. Hang on, I'm gonna close these blinds. Since it's dark outside, there's no point. All right. Sorry about that. Noticed the mic had fallen, so hopefully that's better. Oh, you were at the doctor. You all right? What's going on? I don't know. I probably won't be on too long. I mean, it's pretty quiet. I haven't even seen anybody else pop on but you. Not that that's bad, but I just thought, what the heck, I'd jump on real quick while I was doing this printing and kind of working on this design. So I doubt I'll be on too long. Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, at least with this setup, I've got my YouTube's chat right next to it, so it's not quite so bad. I said earlier, I'm waiting on this new mount to come in, which will give me a lot of adjustability and allow me to put when I'm doing these lives, allow me to put the camera right in front of the monitor, because I've got a new 43-inch 4K monitor, so it'll be right in the middle of the monitor, make it easier so I can see what's going on and chat without looking away. Yes. I'm with you there, man. I'm with you there. And eating as bad as we've been for the last couple weeks, and it's going to continue, isn't going to make that any better. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt. Don't get a lot of attention on the lives, but as far as like people watching them after the fact, but actually, you know what I should do? I should go back and kind of do a recap in the description of the lives. Otherwise, it's just okay, this is a Wednesday live. It's like there's really not much to it. So I should probably go back and update some of the descriptions. That'd probably be smart. Cool. Yeah, I use well, I use a regular tripod out when I'm out in the shop. That way I can move the camera around. And then I've got a speaker stand, like a tripod-based speaker stand. You've probably seen them, the beefy stands, with a mount for my laptop. And then there's a 32-inch screen out there, and a mount for the camera also, so I could have it above the screen if I want to have it, although I usually use it on a tripod. So I've got that set up out there, which works real well. That way I can see messages from the chat from like across the room. So it makes it a little easier. But in here, I had a decent setup. I had done a built-in mount just above my dual monitor setup, and it was good. It was a little high, but not too bad. But now with this new screen, man, it'd be like 35 inches up. I'm like, I'm not going to be staring up at a camera up there. So right now I've got it sitting on the desk on a small GorillaPod tripod. So I'm just kind of looking over there for right now. But like I said, that new mount will be good. Yeah, it is. Sorry, I missed that. It wasn't. I was in a commercial space for 15 years, but I am now. So good old COVID. COVID and my lease running out, and there's a whole long story to that I could share again, but I've shared it on a couple other videos. But yes, at the house. Is that print still going? I'm gonna run over there and check it real quick. Since I'm not currently using. I could, but this print's only like 6 feet long. So it's probably not worth it. So yeah. Let me see if I can, no, I don't have that one up, do I? That's all right. Was told I would have another rush print for one of my customers with some, they need a couple more of the 24 by 36 Alumicores, which I did the live on the other day. I don't know if you saw that out in the shop. I think you did. I think you saw that. Anyhow, they need a couple more. Yeah, man, the FSC cutter is fantastic. That was I've been wanting one for a while, and one of them in my area popped up over in the Mesquite side, and the price was right. So it took me a couple weeks to actually get out there to get it, but got out there, and then he ended up giving me a little bit better deal. Even I didn't even ask. So yeah, well worth it. Cuts way cleaner, way better, way faster, less mess. Before we were cutting all that stuff for the last 10 plus years with a table saw, so not have to use that for those cuts is really nice. And I'm sure you've seen some of my little CNC router videos too, having to make use of the space out there. Since I don't have much, I had to pull it off of its old enclosure, and it was on an enclosed rolling table with ventilation and everything else, and I had to pull all that apart, and it's now hung from the ceiling, and it's stored at the ceiling. So I don't know if you've seen one of that video or not, but I've got one or two of them up on my YouTube channel about it. Although I wouldn't mind, I'm considering upgrading it to a 4 foot by 4 foot, or at least a 4 foot by 3 foot. Right now it's a 30 by 30 basically, which works, but it'd be nice to be able to get a 4 foot run. And I'd still be able to suspend it the way I have it now. It'd just be heavier, but hey, what's up, Lily? How are you? You're not driving, are you? You actually home? Yeah, the larger CNCs would be nice. I mean, my problem's space. And what really stinks is I just heard from one of my old guys that he's actually got our old laser. He kind of basically bought it, and so he's had the laser since we've been out of the shop. So I still send him that work that I do, but he's decided he's finally fully retiring at the end of this year. So he's actually already got somebody that's taken the laser, which stinks because it's not somebody that I can really work with here. And I wish he had given me the chance to buy it, but anyhow, because it's a 100-watt laser, we spent like 10 grand on when we got it. So yeah, so I may have to jump into a laser again and make room out there for it, which I think I can do. I think I can free up. The only problem is most of the lasers are about 6 foot wide working space, between 5 and 6 foot. So that makes it kind of tight. I've got an easy 4.5 foot that I can make in two areas, but trying to get 6 foot is going to be really tricky. And you can go to a smaller laser, but you're not saving that much money and you're really limiting what you can do. And the tubes don't last near as long with the lower power lasers and all that stuff. So I don't know. Half day. Half day on a Wednesday. I guess that's why it's hump day, right? Looks like that print finished. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, the small ones are okay. I mean, you can get into the small ones for as cheap as 500-600 bucks, honestly. Um, Heck, you could even do less than that. You could get them in the $300-400 range if you want. But like I said, ours was around 10, and it seems like any of the decent replacements I've looked at now that I'd want to get are probably in the 7 to 9 range. Um, and honestly, it would make more sense to go more in the 9 to 10 range, but I just don't have the space for it right now. That's my problem, let alone the extra budget. But we'll see. But if he's not available to do that work for me anymore, I'm going to have to come up with something. So actually, I'm just waiting on a finalized order for like 170 name tags for an event coming up on the 11th. So I have to have them done by next Thursday, actually. And they want magnetic backs, which we have about 100 pieces of that right now. So I'm going to have to order another 100 in. And man, Lily, it really just depends on exactly what you want to do, the size that you need to be able to do, and then your budget. I mean, those three things are going to determine your best options. I mean, you could go with something really simple like an Orter, which is a tiny little laser, but I mean, it'll do basic marking. Um, and you can get those cheap. I mean, it's just an open laser. Um, and you can pick them up for around 500 bucks. So, if you just need something cheapy cheap to do the basics, here I'll bring up the screen for you so you can see it. Let me swap over to, where's my screen? Boom. There you go. So there's an example for you of the Orter again. And they're saying normally $640, but they're doing it for $480. But that's one of their kits. This is their Pro 2, which is one of their better options. Super simple, not super powerful, but it's enough to do the simple things. I mean, you can read plenty of reviews. There's user groups out there about them. It's a good cheap option. Now, if you got a little bit more budget, or you want something a little bit more powerful, you could look at one of the generic, like the OM Tech 40 watt, which is a little. Here, I'll bring that one up. It's a little thing, very basic. Yeah, it's only got an 8-inch by 12-inch working area, so it's actually, I think, less than that other, the Orter, but it's got a true laser tube, so you're paying for that. This is a 40 watt. The other one's like a 2 watt, so you can burn more things with more power if you need it. But if you're just doing basic marking on wood and acrylic and stuff like that, the Orter will work. But if you need to cut through material, then you want something with a little bit more power. But I don't know if 8 inches by 8 by 12 is going to be big enough for you. But again, you can pick these up for not much more, $530. And there's a lot of generic upgrades you can do. There's groups about these that you can find that kind of give you some basic upgrades that you can do to them. And then beyond that, there's tons of different options, with better solutions. But they all go up in price. So it just kind of depends on what you want. Oh yeah, 12 by 20. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, ours is, we've had, well, the one that I don't have here anymore, but the one we've had for probably 7 years, 6, 7 years. It's 100 watt. Basically, it's a 16 by 20. And it's done okay for us. I mean, we had a laser tube we had to replace once. Then we had one of the control boards, like the main control board, go out, and the company didn't offer any replacement. So we had to do a lot of research and figure out what we could do, and we ended up buying a Ryuta controller and then putting it in, replacing the power supply, putting that in for the 100 watt laser, and had to reprogram everything and switch software, but got it all up and working again for, heck, it wasn't that bad actually. Power supply and the controller was like $500, $600. So we got it back up, and we've been using it that way for the last about a year before COVID is when that happened. So it's been almost 3 years that way. But it's, like I said, it is 100 watt. So, and it's hard to go down. The 80 watts are still good, and you still get a good life out of the tubes, assuming you go with a decent company's tube, like a Resi or etc., not a totally cheapy tube. Whereas like the 60 watts and down have like a quarter the life rating. And the problem is that the life of the tubes also gets shorter when you run them at higher power. So if, let's say, an 80 watt tube at 80 watts is rated for, or no, I'm sorry, they typically rate them at like half power. So at 40 watts is rated for like 6,000 hours of run. At full power, it's less than half that, so 2,800, 3,000. But then if you go down to a 60 watt laser, they're only rated for like 2,000, at half power, 30 watts. So if you're running at full power, you're down around 1,000. So you're losing, you got a third the life, plus at less power. So it gets a little tricky. Yeah, exactly. The diode laser, that's what the Orter is the diode laser. So it's super simple. And actually, I've considered even doing that for basic marking. It's just that we do more than basic marking. But for basic marking, I can, for about $300 or $400, I can do a high power diode laser on my CNC router and do a lot of my basic stuff and have a way better working pattern. I mean, that's a 30 inch by 30 inch. So I could do basic marking with that, no problem. It's slow. You know, that's the other challenge, but 15 milliamp, yeah, that's pretty low. Our 100 watt, I would say we on average ran, man, it just depends, because certain things we were running at almost full power, and then other things we'd be running at like, you know, 10, 15% power. So it's hard to really say. There's too much variety in what we're using it for. You know, even when we're doing simple things like engraving, you know, pre-powder coated cups, like, you know, the tumblers, that takes some power. I mean, those run at typically between 70 and 80% power on 100 watts. So, but you know, we run them at pretty fast speeds too. Gotcha. Yeah. You can cut 1/4 inch one pass, no problem. On your 50? Okay. And that's 1/4 inch what? 1/4 inch wood, like balsa or something like that? Or are you talking about 1/4 inch acrylic? Boop, boop, boop. You know what? I wonder if there's a way. I got to do some more playing with OBS. There's a couple little features I'd like to. I know it can do. It's just a matter of figuring them out. Whoop. A TK. Yeah, okay, acrylic, yeah. Yeah, and I'm assuming that's cast acrylic too. Cast engraves so much better. A little more expensive, but good stuff. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna say for, yeah, like these type. Hang on one sec. See if it actually works and you can see it. Like that style. This is actually, I think this is 3/16 is what we use on these. So yeah, we do a lot of these for table numbers and stuff for event venues and stuff like that. Yeah, extruded's terrible. It doesn't engrave for crap. Get it in Christmas mode. Yeah, extruded. I mean, extruded's fine for what it is. It's just, it's not something that engraves, and it doesn't cut as clean either. Have you? Okay, yeah. Yeah, we used to do a ton of these. Don't do so much anymore. Of course, I don't go after that market. Probably should. Yeah, yeah, I did for a while. We were doing them for very specific industries for quite a while. Just realized there's plastic on the base of this that I didn't take off. Woo! Gonna knock this big monitor over. Hang on one second. I'm sure this is, I'm like right against the monitor. Okay, that's better. Do you engrave on the back? Yes. Yeah, engrave on the back in reverse. Yep. Which you can kind of, it's hard to tell, but I mean, the lighting's probably not that great in here versus the back. I mean, it still works, but it definitely has a better catch when it's catching the engraving on the back. If that makes sense. No, extruded just burns like crap. It just doesn't even remotely look good. It doesn't cut as clean either. So yeah, we don't do much extruded. I've had a couple customers bring me extruded to cut, and I tell them, I said, hey, we can cut it for you, but no guarantees on finish, or usually it's just cut, at least it's not engraved. So that's helpful. Thanks, Lily. Yeah, those are common. I've got, man, I don't have them in here. I've got them out in the other part of the shop, but I've got all kinds of insert ones that we've done. And actually what we do on the ones that we typically sell now too is we engrave our little logo in the bottom that goes down in the channel. So you don't even see it, but anybody that takes it out knows where it was done. So kind of a cool little marketing piece for us. Yeah, exactly. It melts. Yeah, it does. It smells too. Yeah, like I said, that's another challenge with me here is the space. You know what? Hang on one sec. I'll be right back. All right, back. Yeah, cast is definitely the way to go. Yeah, these name badges, we're doing really simple ones too. We're just using the flexible engravable. So it's just a thin sheet. I think we're using, I don't think it's, man, it might be 16th. And then we're just doing a magnetic name badge catch on the back. We do, hang on, let me grab one of the, here you go. Here's a generic one that I did. Similar. This one's one of ours, but if it focuses, focus. There you go. So, you know, with the magnet on the back. This one's been cut down just because of the logo, but we do a lot of these where they're completely cut to a custom shape. And then we can do names and stuff on them too. Now these particular ones that this customer wants is simple, but well, these aren't actual badges. I mean, it's just, we just buy the sheet material and then we laser cut it to size. On that particular example, what I do is we laser cut it to size and then I do a full color print, inset about a 16th from the edge on that one. The ones that I'm talking about doing 160 of them for this customer this next week is just the engravable version of that material. So it's different. So, and they want black, so it'll be a black finish, but then when you burn through it, you have a white layer underneath, so it's just gonna show the white. And then we basically just laser cut them to size, and then I've got the magnetic catches or magnetic name badge tags that we just double stick on the back and we're good to go. Yeah, in that particular example that I just showed you, yeah, we're just applying vinyl. And I normally do those for people. I usually just do a minimum of $100. You know, and I tell them you're basically going to get around 10 badges for that $100. So pretty easy. That basically just covers our costs because I mean, it's not worth it to do one. The amount of time it takes to set up and do the print and do the cut and do the laser work and but to set it up as a minimum $100 order makes it easy. And then occasionally we'll get people saying, oh, I want 20 or 30 of those. So yeah. But like I said, these other ones are going to be even easier because we're just engraving through the material. There's no printing on it whatsoever. So the laser will handle the whole thing. And it's just going to do them as rectangles basically. So super simple. All right, man. Have a good one. We'll chat later. Have a good one. So Lily, you decide what laser you want or what your budget is? Tammy Pressel. It's always interesting when you get these friend requests from people that you have no idea who they are. But we have a lot of mutual friends, and it's people from like school, like middle school and some high school. So you'd think I know who it is, but I don't. So yeah, what's the next design I gotta work on? Oh yeah, so here's an interesting one. It's hard to get an example of it, but so this is let me see if I can bring this up for you. Yeah, so these are gonna be, here's individual prints. You can kind of see the shape. But these are actually gonna be cornhole boards. She's really into Tom Petty. Got a picture of her with Tom Petty. So these are gonna go one cornhole board here and then one over on this side. So kind of an interesting, another interesting project. No more than 1,000. Yeah, I mean, in that case, man, I mean, unless you can find something used, which is going to be really challenging, and even then, you might not get anything fantastic. Um, you might be best with like, well, did you figure out your working space? How big do you need to be able to work? Is that little 40 watt going to be big enough? I mean, that's only like 8 by 13, something like that. Um, that might be just too small. I mean, if not, that's a good, yeah, it's 8 by 12, 8 inches by 12 inches. Because I mean, you can get into that, for around 550, and then you can add some of the upgrades if you wanted to make it a little bit more solid. But I mean, it's a decent, cheapy option. There's a billion people out there using them. And that would probably put you where you're kind of close. You can actually even do a search. Yeah, they've got that Omtech sells them on through Amazon. You can buy them through Amazon and stuff too. Yeah, it looks like 540. 540 for the better reviewed version, the K40. That's what, if you do a search for K40, or if you get on Facebook and you look for K40, do a search for groups. There's going to be a couple of groups that dedicate themselves to the K40 lasers. Now, Omtech's just one company that makes a K40. K40 is kind of a generic term for that style of machine, the way that the basic laser. But you can learn a lot more and see what people are recommending. Yeah, if you're just going to mark them, then you'd probably be fine with something like that. I mean, if you're not going to try and cut anything, you're just trying to mark it, and you don't need to mark like stone or tile, You know, if it's going to be simple stuff like wood and acrylic, plastics, I mean, plastics you got to be careful of because they can put off gases, but then you might be better off with that Ortur that I showed you because it gives you a bigger working surface. Um, and it's a less likely to fail item than a true laser. But I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I said, if nothing else, I'd jump on some of those K40 groups on Facebook and do some research, find out if there's any particular one that a couple people recommend. Otherwise, like I said, that Omtech for 40 watt on Amazon's got in general pretty good reviews, 68% 5-star ratings. Of course, you got to learn the software too. That's a whole nother thing, but yeah, that's probably what I would do. See, for my CNC router, I can get a JTech, which is kind of the big company that makes them for those, and it's kind of pricey, honestly, for what it is. Um, but like their 7-watt equivalent, let's see, yeah, it's $740. I mean, it's kind of expensive because it's like got no moving parts, no nothing. It's just designed to plug in and work with my CNC router. So they kind of get a premium for that. So the reality is it's really kind of pricey for what it is, but it allows me to use my full 30-inch by 30-inch work spot on the router um, to do marking work. So it's kind of cool. Don't let it scare you. It's just a different way of thinking. Yeah, don't let it freak you out. All right. Well, I hate to run, but I think I'm gonna have to jump off for right now. So, but yeah, if you need more, if you want more conversation about lasers, just let us know. Obviously, Juan too. You know, we've had the laser that we've had. Like I said, it's been probably 7 years now, 6, 7 years. So yeah, probably 7 with COVID and everything. Um, and actually, even when we had to, if you heard me what I said earlier, when we had to replace the control board, it's a completely different control board, so we had to use completely different software. So it was kind of a relearning curve. So it happens. You got to learn. No problem. All right. You guys have a good one, and we'll talk